because that was pretty gnarly.
New tonight, we're hearing from a kayaker, the kayaker in that basket right there, who had to be rescued after more than 34 hours on the water. He was trying to cross the widest part of Lake Michigan, and he was doing it by himself. He talked to 24-Hour News 8's Heather Walker about how he survived some big waves and cold nights, and the whole thing sounds a little frightening, Heather.
Yeah, certainly not my cup of tea, but it is for some, including 31-year-old Matt Freimeyer, who was attempting to kayak from Milwaukee to Grand Haven. That's about 80 miles. He was almost there when his body shut down.
Yeah, the plan was just to paddle. I wanted to paddle without sleeping.
This isn't the first physical challenge Matt Freimeyer has done. 2 years ago, he biked around the big lake, and this year he took up kayaking. He planned the trip, packed up everything he needed, food, radios, and wetsuits to stay warm. It started well, but the further he paddled, the bigger the waves became.
It was getting dangerous because the waves were actually starting to break and go over me and everything.
The waves were reported to be around 10 feet, with winds from 23 to 28 miles per hour.
Once the waves got big, then I started getting seasick really bad. I had food, but I had been throwing up and stuff, and I couldn't keep anything down, and so I just had no energy left.
He tried to sleep, but water filled the kayak. Exhausted and close to death, this morning around 7:30, he called for help on a tracking device.
That dude he was kayaking from one side of Lake Michigan to the other, and he had been training for this apparently for a while. But I don't know if there was some unexpected weather or something, but he got stuck out in Lake Michigan with like, I don't know, something gnarly, like 6 to 8 foot waves, which for like Lake Michigan is like, you know, unheard of. But yeah, Nate Fesky and I went out there and did a pretty crazy rescue and saved his life and stuff. But that was probably like my second or third big case in Detroit. But yeah, I love talking to rescue swimmers about my book when they read it, because, you know, as you know, you just know your side of the job. And the rescue swimmers are always like, man, like reading a flight mechanic talking about what they're doing during the whole search and rescue case and all that was a really awesome kind of perspective, instead of just like you're in the water doing whatever, but here's my perspective of like, I'm up here talking to the pilots, getting the basket ready, lowering the hook, all those kind of things. So
how did it feel? Was it you that spotted this kayaker?
You know what? I honestly don't recall. I think it actually was Nate. I think we were like flying along, and the good thing is, he was so well prepared that he had a locating beacon. So once you flip that off, it's a pretty sure thing that we're going to find him. So we kind of had the position in the aircraft already, and we were headed to that direction. I think Nate was the one that spotted his kayak, and Eagle Eye Nate. And yeah, so we were pretty much on scene within, I think, 15 minutes of getting the call.
Yeah. Well, note to self, all you know, marine goofballs out there, to potentially consider taking a locator beacon out there if you're doing some extreme activities like that, you know.
Absolutely. Be safe, man. I'm telling you, Mother Nature, that water, she don't play sometimes.
I know. Well, that's one of the things that I don't know if you listened to the Nate podcast, but at the end I asked him, you know, being somebody myself that involves themselves in a lot of these adventurous activities, you know, I always have that in the back of my mind, like, oh man, I would hate to be the person to have to call for search and rescue, you know?
That was always my like worst nightmare, is like, I cannot get myself into a position to get in trouble or to hurt myself and then have like my people, like my Coast Guard people rescue me. Like, how embarrassing would that be? Like, oh.
What like face would you have like getting back in the helo?
I would just do like the don't even talk to me, guys. I messed up. Like
just to say like, hi Casey, I don't want to talk to you right now.
Yeah, like one life saved. Thanks.
I wonder if that like negates the lives that you saved yourself. It's like -1 because you had to be saved.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. What was the expression of the kayaker? How would you describe his emotions getting into the helo?
Man, well, first of all, he had been sick for quite a while. I think he was really trying to hold out from like calling for help. So he had been throwing up. He was dehydrated. He was in pretty bad shape. And it's kind of a little bit of a funny story, but when I was lowering Nate down into the water to go over and to secure him, I saw the kayaker like lean over and like puke into the water, and Nate's just like swimming up, and I'm like, ooh, he's going right in that puke pile. Like, but no, we got him into the cabin, and man, most of the time people never have to even say a word. It's they look at you and like they make eye contact with you, and they're just like, they give you that, you know, thank you so much, I probably would be dead without you look. And that's all I needed to hear. And then of course we get all excited because we save a life, and then we're like, well, will you take a picture with us? Which kind of is like, oh, this is, you might not want to take a picture because you're not feeling so good. But we had an ambulance there waiting for him. He got some fluid.